Welcome to another month of romance video. So I'm going to be honest with you. This is one of the most nerve-wracking videos I have ever made. I'm sure I will miss something, and I just live in fear that that will be the case. But I do plan on doing even more research and getting more information and getting even more detailed with this concept in an upcoming video, maybe in the next few months. So hopefully if I miss anything super duper important, I can talk about it then. I also want to go into more detail about certain like offshoots to this video. So oh, sorry, Murphy. So if you couldn't tell from the title of this video, I want to do a like brief history of the romance genre. So I'm going to try and mainly do this with a voiceover and talking to you through with images and timelines, just because I think that'll be a better form of telling this story. I will also leave a bunch of resources down in the description below. Some of this is really coming from my brain from research I did in college, but I no longer have like my papers and everything, so I can't source those, but I will source things that I use to like brush up on stuff, so you can check that out. Let's get started, and let's start at the beginning. So the beginning is actually the first problem in this whole concept. Love stories are a tale as old as time. They're in religious texts, mythology, epics, Shakespeare, you name it. However, I and many people believe the first true romance is Jane Austen. A lot of people will say Pride and Prejudice. Some will reference things like Samuel Richardson's Pamela or Anne Radcliffe's novels, or even a Shakespeare. But a lot of these, like Shakespeare's stories, are tragedies, not true romances. Jane Austen's books instead provide a happy ending and an example of female autonomy in a world of strict social rules. And in these stories, the women win. After Jane Austen, you have things like Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. And then people keep writing. And in the early 19th century, you have books that people claim are romances like Rebecca and Gone with the Wind. Personally, I see why people would classify these as a romance, but I beg to disagree. Books like Rebecca have gothic elements, which often show up and overlap with things that you see in big R romantic fiction, not romance novels. Gone with the Wind features a love story and a strong female heroine who goes after what she wants and arguably does get it, but I'd still argue it's not a romance. In the 1950s, Harlequin begins publishing romances. The Canadian publisher buys North American publishing rights to English romances, and the low-cost publisher becomes synonymous with the genre. Then the modern age of romance arguably begins in 1972 with the publication of The Flame and the Flower by Kathleen Woodiwiss. This is the beginning of the bodice ripper, basically adding in more sexually explicit content to the romantic storylines. Other authors who start writing now and start to build on this genre are women like Joanna Lindsey, Nora Roberts, and Danielle Steele. In 1996, Harlequin creates Romance.net, becoming one of the first publishers to embrace the internet. Romance, we're early adopters. In 2011, 50 Shades of Grey by E.L. James is published. This BDSM Twilight fanfiction takes the world by storm. It brings new readers to the romance genre, and it also encourages more writers. This and the internet contributes to the rise of self-publishing and the expansion of the genre in quantity and content, becoming more diverse and telling more and more stories. Throughout the early 2000s and into now, the genre has continued to grow and adapt, embracing things like ebooks, self-publishing, and diversity in a variety of ways, in publishing, in covers, in author, content, and more. It also changes as the world around it changes. addressing things like the Me Too movement. And who knows where the romance genre will go from here.